So this has got a connection with the lab program that we are about to do. So that's why I'm stressing on this factor. So what is this identifier? So basically what I have told that this you take a simple example that there will be a student, okay, and this student will have a one roll number RA, some like this, some 15 digits. I was surprised to see that 15-digit roll number was given, okay. So like this. So this 15-digit roll number is assigned to this particular student, and this is an unique ID in the entire campus, okay. As well as this ID will be unique in this university for a long duration of time period, 50 years, 100 years, like that, okay. It will not be repeated, okay, at least for another 10 years or 25 years, like that, okay. It will not be repeated, okay. Only definitely it will be new ID only will be generated for the students who come and join in the upcoming years. So what I wish to say now, this is an identity, okay. This is an identity for that particular student. So it is unique in nature, as well as it helps to pick a particular student very uniquely, okay. This ID helps to talk about or pick a particular student very uniquely. So similarly here, this identifier is given to everything or every entity. Here is a new word called entity, is nothing but something, object or person or any object only I could able to get the new word, okay. It is a new object only, nothing else, no other word coming to my mind, okay. So this identifier is a name given to an entity to identify him uniquely, okay. Now this is a label that is given to some object to identify this object uniquely. That is what this identifier says, okay. And now this identifier includes many things in it, okay. So two such remarkably differentiable thing is, one is keyword and variables. In addition to it also we can have constants, all those things here, but we will take up only this thing, keywords and variables. So it becomes easy for us to grasp the meaning, okay. That is a concept, that is why I have taken this one, keywords. So keywords means int is a keyword, okay. Int is a keyword, char is a keyword, okay. Up to this we have seen. Float is a keyword, float is a keyword, and similarly auto, break, case, constant, continue, do, while, all those things are also keywords, okay. I have told that there are 32 keywords that Dennis Ritchie has proposed, okay. All those keywords will come into this, which means these keywords will have a specially designated meaning by Dennis Ritchie, and this will do appropriate work in our program, okay. Whereas variables are user defined variables. For example, I can give a name as int, okay, age, okay, then float average, sum, like this I'm keep on giving, right. So in all these places, this age, average, sum, all these things are user defined variables, getting this point, students? Age, average, sum are all user defined variable, are simply variable, okay. We can, user defined means as a programmer we are defining this, we are declaring this according to our nature of our concept of our program, okay. Whatever the logic we require, accordingly reasonably we are naming the variables to hold some value in those variables, okay. Now these are all called variables. Sir, what else will come in the identifier, okay. So I will erase this space here. Simple. So in addition to this keywords, variables, and something else is also present, and those are all also called as identifiers, okay. For example, I am writing one program, okay. I am writing one program and I am giving a heading to my program as main, okay. And after that I am writing so many instructions into that main program, okay. I have told that identifier is a label given to some object, Okay. Now this main is also an identifier. Yes or no? Now this main become an identifier for this entire program. So similarly, there are many other programming concepts in our C program called struct or structure. Okay, structure. We will be studying this separate topic as a separate topic. Okay, structure is also a identifier. Array is also an identifier. Okay, or like in the morning class, CLR, SCR, like that one function we have seen, no, that is also an identifier, and getCH is also an identifier. So likewise, many identifiers are available in our C program. So basically what identifier is a label given to a particular function. In this place it is a function. Okay, generally identifier is nothing but a label given to an object is called an identifier. But in our programming concepts, a label given to any kind of function defined is called an identifier. I hope I have given sufficient explanation. In case if you have any clarity, require any clarity, please ask me. Now you go through the content of the slide. Both an identifier and a variable are the names allocated by the user to a particular entity in a program. Okay, we are talking mainly about variables and identifiers. See, both are given by the user only. Main also we are only writing, structure also we are also declaring, we are only writing this clear screen, array, all these things. Okay, sir, we are not writing this clear screen. You told that they are all defined already. Yes, when Dennis Ritchie has developed the language, he has not defined all these functions. At later time when it got upgraded, at those time this all new functions came into existence. So because of that, it is also named as identifier. Okay. Now look at here. Identifier is only used to identify an entity uniquely in a program at the time of execution. Variable is a name given to a memory location that is used to hold a value. So basically, they helps to hold a value, whereas this identifier helps to identify the functions in the program. Okay. Identifiers are function names, class names, structure names, etc. Variable is only a kind of identifier. So look at here, this identifier includes this variable. So what is this? Variable is also a kind of identifier. Okay, so it can be said that all variables are identifiers, whereas vice versa is not true. Look at this line very carefully. Understand this line very carefully. All variables are identifiers, vice versa is not true. Okay, this is a variable. This variable is included inside this identifier. So all identifiers, see this everything is a identifier. This every big parallelogram, what is that? Not parallelogram, hexagon what I have drawn here, everything is an identifier because identifier only includes this inside it. So everything is identifier, but the reverse is not true. Every variable that we have declared as age, average, sum, they are not identifier. Okay, they are not identifier. Okay, identifiers are this much. Okay, in addition to that, this is also a kind of identifier, but this only is identifier we cannot say. I think very clearly I have confused you, I guess. Okay, go through it. In case if you are getting a doubt, ask me. Is this fine, students? Shall we proceed? Listening? I assume that you are listening. We will proceed. Yes, good. So there we are in the previous lab class, that is on Friday. Yes, I have given explanation. I have given explanation here. Here, this also we have finished. And directly, instead of seeing this program, small programs, these are all small programs. Instead of seeing this program, we have gone directly into typing the program in the notepad and executing in the command prompt. I have directly taken you there. Okay, so now this is the second exercise. Better I should have included the name also here. What is the second exercise name? Yes, this one. Okay, input and output statement. This is a second exercise. Under this exercise also, once again, we have got 10 C. Basically, in our C program, it is very strongly typed language. C is a strongly typed language. Likewise, we will say. Why? Because each and everything that we type in the code editor, that will be counted or that will be recognized, and each and every characters, it will be sensitively to be written. Okay. So what I mean to say here, main. Okay, so immediately after starting main, this is the declaration part I have taught you. Okay, this is declaration part. Whatever the variables inside this entire program to be we are trying to use or we want to use, that everything should be declared in this space immediately after opening the main program. Then only we can start writing the instructions of the program where we need to work on these data variables that we have declared here. Okay, or simply for our easy understanding, I will say that int a comma b. Okay, then what I will say, int sum. Okay, these three variables I have declared, a, b, sum I have declared. Instead of writing another time int and then writing sum, better it's possible to write here itself, where along with the a, b, we can write sum here itself, but making a comma. Okay, sum. So three variables we have declared. Only these three variables we are intimating to the compiler that only these three variables we are going to use in the inside the program. That is printf enter a, like that we will say, and scanf we will collect it in the a variable. Similarly, printf b, then in the scanf we will collect the next value in the b variable. Then we will make a logic of adding these two variables value, that is a plus b. Then we will print that sum. Okay, then we will print that sum. So what I mean to say, whatever the logics we want to perform inside the program, and those logics have to be made use of variables, and those variables have to be declared before typing our program. Okay, then only it will our compiler will allow. Whereas Python is a one kind of a program. Okay, this in the Python we doesn't want to bother about the variables. Okay, it is not required to be declared before its usage. Wherever we want something to be written as a logics, directly we can write the expression. Each one of them will be considered as a variable at that time. Okay, where in Python language, not here. Also in the Python language, there is no explicit declaration of data type. That is, a is an integer type, average is a float type. Like that, we doesn't want to declare a data type. So directly in the expression we can write, it will consider, it will recognize what type of data we are storing in that particular location. That is the beauty of this Python language. For now, we will consider another C language. Look at here. Specifies the type of data to be stored in the variable. So look at here, a, b, sum, all these variables are capable of holding only integer values, round values only. In case if I want to find the average of it, then I can very well declare float avj. Okay, it is avj. So this denotes that it can hold a fractional value. So we are giving intimation to the compiler that a float, like that we need to declare and then only we need to use. Okay, there are four basic data types: integer, float, double, character. String is also there, but it is a derived version of a character only, so we are not explicitly writing. Okay, also here double is also a kind of a derived data type from the float only. Okay, nothing else. We will understand what is it. Okay, basically integer, character, float, these three data types we need to be very thorough in. sign. Look at here. There are some variations of this integer. Up to now, what I have told, integer means round value. Okay, a comma b, like that. So in a I can store a 5. In b we can store a 7. Okay, in b we can store a 7. See, now it doesn't have a 1 minute, students. 1 minute. Sir, I'm in class, sir. Lab, sir. 4 o'clock. இல்லைங்க சார், பார்க்கல. நான் சேரல சார். அதை பற்றி எனக்கு என்னன்னு தெரியல சார். ஒன்றும் ஜஸ்ட் 2 o'clock முன்னாடி தான் வந்தது மெசேஜ். எனக்கு ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியல. அதுக்கப்புறம் நான் கிளாஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன். கிளாஸ் முடிச்சுட்டு பேசுவோமா சார்? பண்ணிடலாம் சார். போடலாம். பண்ணிடலாம் சார். பண்ணுங்கள். ஓகே, நீங்கள் போட்டுருங்க சார். கண்டிப்பாக சார். ஆமாங்க சார். ஆமாம். ஓகே சார். தேங்க்யூ சார். Fine, students. So where I was, yeah, this I think today I could not able to make use of the video lecture. Fine, anyhow I'll try. Int a, b are the two variables I have declared. So this a is capable of holding a round value, that is 5, for example I have written, and b is also capable of holding a round value, for example I have written as a 7. Okay, in addition to this, sometimes we can also able to store some negative numbers also. For example, in this a I can also able to store -10. Okay, -10. So only the restriction here is integers cannot able to store a fraction numbers. Okay, round values both in positive side as well as in negative side it can able to store. Sir, how long or how lengthy number can be stored in this integer? That is the next question we need to address. Okay, how lengthy it will be? See, for this to understand we need to draw, sorry, it is not straight line. We need to understand a graph. This is in center 0. Okay, this will be a negative number. For example, this is -367, like this. Okay, here 2, 5, 1, like this, positive numbers. Okay, it keep on growing like this. Instead of writing 1, 2, it will make congested for me. That's why I have written only a few numbers. Okay, here in this side it grows in -1, -2, like that. It will grows up to negative side like this. So how long it will grow? Okay, it will also grow in this direction. It will also grow in this negative direction also. How long will it grow? Like that, a question will arise, and we need to address that also. Integer, look at here, integer have certain restriction of growing up to certain number. Okay, integer have a certain restrictions of growing up to a certain number. That number is 255, 0 to 255 basically. Okay, 0 to 250. No, wait a minute. Okay, let me derive that one, not an issue. Let me derive that one. For now, simply understand that it is possible that we can give a number, integer number, both in the negative side as well as in the positive side. That's it. You understand like this. So if we are specifying a signed int, then we can able to utilize the numbers to be specified in both the negative number as well as in the positive number. In case if you are not specifying signed integer, we can very well specify it as an unsigned integer, which means all the numbers that we are trying to use are of positive. Okay, it starts from 0 and it runs up to 32767, like that. So this is the highest range. Okay, all the numbers between this range can be assigned to an integer. Okay, but if we are assigning this as a signed integer, then it will take its value from both the negative side as well as in the positive side. Okay, I'm not sure about what is the exact number if we are taking in the positive side and negative side. Let's derive in the next slide. For now, you simply understand that signed means it talks about negative values, unsigned means it will take only the positive side values. Okay, float we already know that it helps to take the fractional numbers, and double, look at here, both the float and double, they both are same only. Okay, they both are same only, but this this double can able to hold a huge number. Okay, a huge number compared to this float. Okay, I'll tell you how much that huge it is. Okay, now come to this point, character. Okay, here there is no version of signed, unsigned and all. Okay, because we are not storing any negative alphabet, positive alphabet, there is no such question at all. Only positive characters will be storing. So that is character. Okay, this much. Please look at this slide, students. I have scribbled here and there. Please look at it, recollect all the points from the beginning. Simply understand that we need to declare the variable and then only C will allow us to use it in the program, number one. And number two, there are 4 types of data types, 4 different types: integer, float, double, character. Integer will take both the positive as well as negative number, but they both are round numbers only. Float can take decimal points, and double is a higher version of the float only, and character will able to allow us to store a characters. This much is sufficient. Okay, let's understand. Now we are going to calculate what is the range for each of the data types. Okay, in fact you does not want to remember all these things. Simply remember one formula: minus 2 power n minus 1 to 2 power n minus 1 minus 1. You remember this formula. This is only important. Okay, since because of this only I am also not able to tell you what is the exact figure of that positive number range and negative number range. Okay, remember this formula. Sir, why you are asking to remember this formula? I'll tell you. See, now let's take one simple data type that we have learned is a character. Now this character will occupy, or whenever we are declaring a character, it will make us a computer, or it will make our computer to reserve 1 byte of data. So I hope that you know about 0, 1. They both are what? Are not both. They individually it is a 1 bit. So this 0 is a 1 bit and 1 is a bit. Okay, like this 0, 1, 0, 1 are simply 8 collections of such bit. 8 collections. Okay, so 8 blocks I have made here. Always remember in C program we have to start our index from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so always, since we are starting from 0, we will end up one number lesser than what I have told. That is, character will occupy, or it will reserve 8 spaces in memory. Listen very carefully, students. A character will reserve, or it will allocate 8 consecutive locations in the memory. Okay, now if I am storing a character value A, okay, if I want to store A into my computer, I need to declare a variable of type a character, char, and then I will use a variable, and that variable I will store this A. Okay, indirectly what happens, this A will get converted into ASCII value. A will get converted into ASCII value, and that value will get filled in this 8 bits. Okay, now this 8 bits can also be called as 1 byte. Okay, I hope everybody will agree with me. Okay, maybe you might have studied electronic devices circuits, EDC. In that also you would have come across this one, or otherwise I am very surprised around 4 or 5 years back, around 5 year of small boy, he told about Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and how much memory he has got in his mobile phone. I was surprised to hear from him actually at the time. 4 or 5 years before itself, this happened. So I think I am making a sense here. What I said is 8 bits that we have stored or our computer have reserved in this space together can also be called as 1 byte. Is that clear, students? Is that clear? Simply make a twice of this one, 16 bits. 16 bits is equal to 2 bytes. Here afterwards, I will not write fully. Capital B means byte, small b mean bits. Okay. Instead, we can write like this itself. Okay. Bits. 16 bits is equal to 2 bytes. Okay. Sir, how many bits constitutes, or how many byte constitutes 1 megabyte? Anybody can able to answer?
Sir, 8 bits equal to 1 byte, sir.
That is correct only. 8 bit is equal to 1 byte. I have written. Is it not visible? Is it not visible? First line itself says that one. 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. And similarly, twice this. Simply I made it twice of this. So 16 bit is equal to 2 bytes. Similarly, 1024 byte. Look at it again. 1024 byte is equal to 1 megabyte. Is it making a sense, students? Is it clear? Okay. Now, such megabytes, 1024 in times. 1024 megabytes is equal to 1 gigabyte. Now, such 1024 gigabyte.
Sir, what about kilobytes, sir?
See, basically, in our computer subjects, we will not talk about the kilobytes. We will talk about a megabyte basically. Okay.
Okay, sir.
In what to say? Let me check whether I am rewinding my memory, whether I have skipped it or not. No, I have not skipped it. This is correct only. I have not skipped it. In fact, it has to come in this place. Look at it again. Yes, you are correct. It has to come in between. Basically, 1024 bit is 1 kilobyte. Okay. Bit basically, I think it is so much congested. I will erase this one. 16 bit constitute 2 byte. Good. Then 1024 bit constitutes 1 kilobyte. Then from the kilobyte only you multiply it with the 1024 kilobyte actually. Yes. Kilobyte. It will give you 1 megabyte, and from 1024 megabyte it will give 1 gigabyte. 1024 gigabyte will give 1 terabyte. So as of now, the hard disk capacity have reached up to terabyte. Here afterwards, petabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte, like that, many things are coming. Okay. So we will stop up to here now. Let's come back to our concept here. So basically, we need to have a clarity in this bit to byte that is sufficient for us. We doesn't want to talk about gigabyte and all. We will not. We wish to have a meaning of a bit to byte, only that much. Now, I have told you that a character will allocate 1 byte of memory in the memory space. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits here. Okay, 8 bits. Remember this one, 8 bits. So it will allocate 8 memory locations like this. Right. So if we are trying to store a single character, 8 memory locations will be used for storing a single character. Okay, this is the meaning. Now, what is the range with which such a character will be stored, sir? What is the range we can able to calculate? So that range of that ASCII values, look at here. Okay, I'll come to that point later. Simply I'll finish the meaning of this range. Now, what is this? How many bits it is? 1 byte actually. This is 1 byte actually. How many bits? Always talk about the bits only. Okay, it is 8 bits. No. So this you refer it as n. Okay, n. Okay, substitute this 8 in the place of n in this formula. So we will get 2 power, this is minus 2 power 8 minus 1 to 2 power 8 minus 1 minus 1. So basically what? 2 power 8 minus 1 will evaluates to 2 power 7. Okay. Then this also will evaluates to 2 power 7 minus 1. Okay. If you are evaluating this 2 power 7, automatically it will give 2 power 3 is 8, 64, 64 into 2, 128. Okay. Minus 128. 2, this again will give 128, but minus 1 is available here. Okay, minus 1 is present here. So because of that, it will evaluates to 27. Okay, and this is what explained in this place also. Understanding these steps, is it clear? Now ask me one question, sir. Character, there is no requirement of using minus spaces and all. It is not so. But we will not store this character as such into the memory space. We will get its equivalent ASCII value. The ASCII values will have a negative range of numbers also. Okay. Each and every character will get converted into ASCII character, ASCII value. Basically, it will be a number. Okay, ASCII value. That ASCII value will have a negative numbers also. Okay, this minus 128 to 127. So this is the range of characters that get stored in the memory space. And the format to accept such a character is %C. Okay, this is known to everyone because nearly 2 to 3 classes we have come across that %C, %D, %S like that. Is it clear, students? Now similarly, integer is whenever we are declaring a variable of type integer, a round number will get stored, and for that round number it occupies 2 bytes, which mean 16 bits. 16 bits. Okay, byte, basically it is given as a byte. I am talking about a bits only because n denotes a bits number only, bit number only. Okay, now in the place of n we need to substitute 16 minus 1. So it gives 2 power 15 to 2 power 15 minus 1. Okay, if you evaluate this and get this number, it will be 32768 to 32767. Okay, these many integer numbers without a fractional number. Okay, without a fraction, a number can range from in the negative side minus 32768, and in the positive side it can go up to 32767 only. In case if I am storing int a equal to 32769. Okay, if I store this number into the variable a, automatically my compiler will throw an error to me. Okay, saying that the size of the integer range is exceeded here. Okay, then what to do, sir? We are sure that we need to store a number greater than the integer range, normal integer range. So simply what we need to do, we need to prefix it with the unsigned. If you are specifying this unsigned, automatically this negative side will get cut. Okay, will get cut. Where it is? Here, look at here, unsigned int. Same integer only, but negative side will not be there. Okay, whatever the negative side was there, that entire thing will get added to this positive side. That range will get increased now, and the corresponding format is %u. Okay, in case if you are writing percentage D here, our compiler will not show that much angry on us. Okay, if you are specifying a percentage U, then it will feel happy. Okay, very happily it will execute and show the output. If you are specifying a percentage D, it will not feel happy, but inside it will scold you that you being nothing, you being not smart boy or not smart student, you are not knowing that I am unsigned integer, but you are calling percentage D. Like that it will scold inside his heart, and then it will just print the output. It will not throw error at all. Getting this point, students? Is it clear, students? Okay. Now look at here, only two data types I need to explain, only this float and double. Okay, rest of the things we can able to catch up the concepts. Float will occupy 4 bytes. Now tell me what is the number of bits here? Number of bits? Correct? Is it visible? Made visible now? 32 bits. Am I not muted? No sound at all. Okay, okay, good, good, very good. So 4 byte, a float will reserve 4 byte of memory in the memory space. Okay, it is equivalent to specifying 32 consecutive memory location bits. Okay, now apply this 32 in this place of n in this and evaluate this, and you will get this range. Okay, represented in the format of scientific notation. Epsilon, actually some number into 10 power something like that we will write now. In physics you might have studied 10 power 3. So instead of writing 1000, this is one notation. In physics we have studied standard notations like that, something we have studied. So in that format it is written. Okay, including the negative side and positive side. Whereas the same float only, but the increased size is this double. So instead of a 4, the double also will help us to store a huge fraction number. Big fraction number can be stored in the double. Okay, it will reserve as 8 byte, which means 64 bits. 64 bits can be stored, and apply the 64 in the place of n, we will get this range. Okay, right? So instead of specifying that a float double, if we want something, this is an integer. Okay, if we want something greater than this 2 bytes, I want to store some bigger number in the round value, means I can very well specify simply as a long itself, long alone. I don't want to specify as whether it is a integer or not. Okay, simply long itself signifies that it is an integer type of size 4 bytes. Okay, usually the normal integer is 2 bytes only, but long means it is capable of storing a lengthy byte. So previously we learnt about signed char, which means it takes both negative and positive values. But now here, look at here, unsigned char. Okay, unsigned char. That minus 127 will get added with the minus 128 will get added with the 127. Are you getting this point, students? Because I'm not drawing that graph here. I didn't have a space here. Do you want to draw that? How that 250 has come? Yes or no? Is it clear? Okay. So here we have got a 0, minus 1, like that it will be keep on increasing. In this place we have got 128, and similarly here positive 1, and it runs up to 127. Okay, we are now specifying unsigned char, which means we doesn't want to store negative number, only we are bothered about the positive number. So in such case, this 128 will get added with the 127. 127 plus 128, that entire thing will get extended, this entire range will get extended, so it will give 255 number of characters can be saved. Okay, getting this? Number of characters means ASCII value, that many number of ASCII values can take its position in the unsigned char. So similarly, this entire slide talks about different types. They are signed double, unsigned double, unsigned long, signed long, like that. Okay. Here minus sign has to come. It is mistakenly printed. Okay, nothing else. Go through this slide, students. Only the point you need to remember here is integer will occupy 2 bytes, character will occupy 1 byte, and float will occupy 4 bytes, double will occupy 8 bytes. So remember, character, integer, float, and double. Okay, integer will occupy 1 byte. Character will occupy 1 byte, integer will occupy 2 bytes, float will occupy 4 bytes, double will occupy 8 bytes. Suppose you want integer itself to occupy 4 bytes, means you specify as long. That's all. That's all. The variations of signed, unsigned int, signed float, unsigned float, signed double, unsigned double will come automatically. Okay, this much, and then this formula. Now, is it clear? Go through this entire slide once again. Go through this. Is it so much congested, students? The slide is looking very awkward. Soon I will move. Is it okay? See, only last 2 points you remember. Character means 1 byte, integer means 2 bytes, float means 4 bytes, double means 8 bytes. And then this formula. From this formula, you can able to get the range. See, actually in the GATE exam, they will play only with this formula only. They will play. Okay. And I wish to say one last point. Okay. There is no fixed things like this. Integer should occupy only 1 byte. Character should occupy only 1 byte. Integer should occupy only 2 bytes. Like that, no fixed things. Okay, sir, what sir? Now only you told character means you register in your mind as 1 byte. Integer means 2 bytes. Like that, you told. Now you are just reversing what you said. Simple, students. What is the concept is, this everything is applicable for a 32-bit processor. This is correct, valid for a 32-bit processor. In case if the processor is of 64-bit, if the processor is of a 64-bit, then this everything will get a double. What is that? Character will occupy 2 bytes, integer will occupy 4 bytes, and float will occupy 8 bytes, and double will occupy 16 bytes. Okay, so depending upon the type of processor, the data types will get differ. Data types will get differ. Okay, data type size will get differ. So always in the GATE exam, they will not give very vague question. They will specify in 64-bit processor, in 32-bit processor, so and so question, so and so integer size is how much. Like that they will ask. Okay, we don't want to bother about it. Okay, they will give explicitly. So because of that, we do not want to bother about it. That's all, students. So this we will try to understand now. So this let's stop up to this from the theory portion. The same question is given in this lab syllabus now. Okay, look at here. Write a C program to display size of different data types. Different data types. There is one function called. There is one function called size of. Inside that we can specify int. That's it. Size of. Okay, char. Simply we need to specify the name of the data type here. Inside this as an argument. If you specify this, it will return. It will return what is the size of the integer in that particular processor. And to catch that, we need to use another. Always it will return a number only. It will return a number only. So because of that, we can very well catch it in a one variable of type integer. So you declare integer variable. Okay, value val. Val is equal to size of int. it will catch or it will return a value, some number, and that number can be captured in this variable val. So similarly here also, okay, size of what is that, float. That's all, very simple. This is a simple 3-line or 4-line program. Okay, similarly size of double. I want you to run this program now by coding it in the notepad or any other compiler that you have installed. Okay, run this program and get me the output in your system. Okay, you tell me in your system what is the size of your data types in your system. Okay, probably almost everybody will be having 64-bit system. All your processor would be 64-bit. So probably you will get the integer size of 4 and the character size of 2 and you execute this and then get the output. Execute. No need to wait for me. Simply directly include the header files hash include stdio.h. That is sufficient. No need anything else. And then void main. Inside the void main, you no need to declare any variable because we are not going to use any variable for ISS. We have only variable, that is integer. Okay, that's all. Int val, and after that directly you write these statements and then close the main function. Okay, type it. I will also type in case if you have some doubt in the program. Look at this screen. Okay, I will type in the screen. Traverse to your folder, then you type notepad for getting a editor. So I've got the notepad. So type the program. Actually, everything should be in a small letter. Okay, void main int val. Okay, so what I will use here, 4 different variables I'll use. Okay, so far I have not taught you the array concept. So val 1, val 2, val 3, val 4. Okay, if you wish to specify some other data types, you can use that many number of values. Okay, then val 1 is equal to size of first we'll start with the char. Val 2 is equal to size of int. Val 3 is equal to size of float, OAT. Val 4 is equal to size of double. Okay, now print all the sizes. Printf the size of the data types are /n. Okay, just it appears as a header for me. That's it. Printf. Then we need to specify what value is for what. So I'm writing as the size of char is equal to %d. Okay, val 1. What is the meaning of it? The value of this 1 is taken. Okay, previously we computed in this location. That value, same value will be taken, and then that value will get embedded in this location. So the size of char equal, up to that you will come as such In the place of percentage d, we will get the value of what we previously calculated by calling this function size of. Okay. Now the same way we'll get, I'm just copying and pasting all the 4 values. In the same way we'll have to modify that val 2, val 3 and 4. Okay, that's all. And if I want everything to appear in the next lines, what I should do is I can very well press /n in every line so that my output will look in the next line. Otherwise it will appear in a single line continuously. Okay, it doesn't want to /n in the last line. Okay, save your program in the same folder where you are storing other programs inside that C drive, or else inside which directory you came in that program you type. So I'm typing as a data type .c. Now usually if you are storing this name as such like this, some system will not take it as a .c file. Okay, it will store with the .txt extension. Okay, it will store with the .txt extension. So to enforce that it is to be correctly saved in .c extension, you put double quotes for entire file name including .c. You put double quotes, enclose them in a double quotes, and then click save. Okay, automatically your file gets saved in that location. Then come to your black screen command prompt. Now gcc -o, what is the name that we can give for this program? Data.exe. Okay, data type.c is the name of the file that I have typed now. Okay, click enter. It's taking some time, and it got successfully compiled. And now I will go to that folder and I will show you that program name. Data type.c is the program that I have typed, and as a result of successful compilation, data.exe file got created now. Okay, data.exe file got created now. So now we need to run the program by just calling the name of the exe file data. Okay, look at here. Character is of size 1 byte. Oh, in every place is char written. Okay. We need to modify that one. Can you understand the difference in the output? There is some mistake in that. It is a size of what? Integer. No. Next value 2 is capturing integer, and value 3 is capturing float. And this program will show different output for different students, and this is for double. Okay, save it once again, and you need to compile this once again. Then only you will get this char removed. First time only it should present char, next time it should present size of int, size of float, size of double. So what I'm saying, value 1, value 2, value 3, like that I have declared now. So instead of, in addition to that, you declare some more variable, maybe 5, 6, 7 like that, and then you type in addition to int, you type long int, signed int, unsigned int. You try different flavors of it. Okay, I have taught you, and get the output of it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell me.
So when we are writing unsigned int within the brackets of size of, how are we supposed to write it? Like unsigned it itself, like with space, without space?
With the space only. Unsigned is one word. Actually, it is a keyword, and int is also a keyword. So they both have to be separated with the space actually.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. take 5 more minutes, complete it, so that we'll move to the next program. Okay, fine. I think we are running out of time, so better I'll do one more explanation of the next problem, the next exercise, so that we can wind up today's class with that exercise. Okay, listen here, students. We are now moving to the next exercise. So we were here. I expected like this output, but my system is not showing like this. So we cannot say that this is the only static output. Every system will produce different nature of output. So we have got the next exercise as write a C program to read and print using getChar and putChar function. Okay, basically these are all small two functions. This getChar is a function used to accept a single character. Sir, why sir? Scanf also is accepting a single character, sir. Yeah, that is also true. Instead of writing that scanf with the %C, then comma, then the variable with the preceded with this ampersand symbol. Okay, instead of writing this much, you can very well write getChar. Okay, there is another function called getCH. My hand is writing that getCH directly. Okay, I'll tell you about that getCH and all in the next class. So here you can write a CH. So basically what? CH, this is CH. Okay, getChar directly expect our user to input something in the keyboard. Okay, it is a function. Okay, it is a function. This getChar, I want everybody to listen to the slide, students. Look at here. getChar directly expect something to be entered from the keyboard. Okay, of one single character keyboard. Okay, one single character only we have to enter from the keyboard, and that will be captured by this entire function, and that captured will be assigned to this variable ch. Okay, then this single character that gets stored in this ch can be displayed to the display screen, again to the monitor, by using a function called putChar. Okay, putChar of ch. Okay, see, at the time of accepting a value from the keyboard, we should not use any argument here. But at the time of printing to the display unit, printing to the monitor screen, we are specifying the argument here. What argument we are specifying? In which variable we have stored that value, that we are specifying here. That's all. Okay. Quickly you can able to code this program. Simply I am writing this in this space. Okay. Include hash include stdr.h void main. Okay, void main. I feel lazy to write, take a notepad and write the program. Simply I am writing here. Only one character I need to data type I need to specify, that is char type. That's it. Okay, then ch, maybe you can specify here enter the character, so that we can understand that we need to enter the character. Okay, printf enter a character. Okay, put semicolon after it. Okay, ch is equal to getChar. Okay, getChar semicolon, and after that you can write very well one printf statement saying that your entered character is. Okay, so that we can identify in the output that this is the time that we have entered the character, and this is the output that about to print. Your entered character is. Okay, semicolon. Each statement should end with a semicolon. Then you can write put char of which variable you have collected the input, that variable